what's the impact generally of F1 and how is it different from any other event? Because this is a town that turns over events all the time. We've been there for one, like the NFL draft. Vegas hosted the NFL draft and just barely sweat it. Like it just like felt like it felt like a slightly more crowded Saturday, honestly, and Sunday. What is F1's impact? How is it different than other events, if at all?
I would say F1 does not have a high local rating here. Yeah. If I'm being honest, I would say
we're having you here for your honesty.
Yeah.
Set the record straight.
Yeah. Just so as opposed to events, the draft, that's a great example. Even though the draft brought in 500,000 people, like you said, that was more like a fight night kind of weekend. Yeah. It's a little busier, but it's not crazy. Even the Super Bowl coming here was a busy weekend, but it wasn't overwhelming. I know I didn't have to send an Uber on the freaking strip because I
was stuck in an Uber on the strip, but
I was about to say
partially because I am dumb, but also because I had to for work purposes.
For something.
But yes, but you're right. It didn't get crazy till like Friday, Saturday of Super Bowl.
Friday, Saturday, right? Yeah, and it was pretty crazy but throughout the week, it's a hosting town. Like they get, they used to get the rodeo and stuff and the country music stuff. And those were big events. I think they still do get versions of that, but just, any big concert, there's consumer events here, like as
CES,
far as electronic stuff. CES, yes, huge one. Chinese New Year is a huge time of the year. Here. Yeah. And again, that's leading into NFL playoffs. Like there's always an event. Like summer is the only lull months. And even that's becoming different because of just other sports that are coming in and just even just what's been driving in here. But I would say all those sports is locals that work here. They have to drive to the strip too. They don't live on the strip. If you're from New York, you don't live on Times Square, but they work there and they have to get there. And that's the hub of the city. F1 is the only one that shuts roads down. And F1 and the actual roads they have to use, not only the strip, which is one thing, which it's a packed vessel, but it is a vessel, an artery of the city, but all the rest around it is shut down because of F1. And so that is already an annoyance for a lot. And it's not just for one day or 2 days, it's multiple days. And in Vegas is a 24/7 town. So it's not, don't worry, it's outside 9 to 5. Here in Vegas, midnight, 1 a.m. on a weekend, 2 a.m. on a Wednesday is a huge day, so there's a lot of those types of annoyances. They also don't feel the trickle down. The workers, as far as, the service members and everything, they don't really kind of feel that kind of trickle down stuff. Sorry if I'm getting so negative with this.
Oh, no,
it is a great event.
This leads to something. This is a good segue to one of the things I talked to and wanted to ask about. So one of the reports from last year, since we have jumped straight to the brass tacks section, which
sorry.
No, this is film, Nate. Right? We're just going to get straight to it. Okay. I'm going to circle this guy. The thing I'm circling right here is this. One of the complaints last year, was insularity. F1, one of the advantages, for those of us who, if you've been to Miami or if you've been to any other sort of like sprawling kind of American setup for one of these, one of the complaints about Miami is that it's all over the place. It's very spread out. That is not the case with Vegas. And it was one of the good things for those participating or setting up. If you were an F1 team or if you're working with it, maybe they overbooked the drivers, but ultimately people don't have to actually go too many different places because they were running everything through 5 or 6 different mega hotels. They're like these casinos that have, gigantic hotel blocks attached to them. It makes things very handy. But one of the critiques was that money didn't circulate. So somebody might have gotten a $500,000 tip at one of the tables. All right. One of the dealers, but Circa didn't get anything. Downtown didn't get anything. There was not a lot of circulation of that money outside of these 4 or 5 places. Is that sort of mirror what you've heard about the insularity of the event? And do you know if they're doing anything to sort of fix that in any way?
I feel that they're trying to fix more of the amenity stuff, like making some of the stuff easier. I think that's more for the crowd coming in, though, as opposed to the service workers or anything of that sort. I would say, like, Vegas is a hosting city. Like, it is built to thrive in these situations, and it does for the most part and everything. Like, it can handle capacity, and like F1, same thing. Right? It could handle the capacity and everything. It's just a different vibe because it is like it's in part of the hub of the city as opposed to all these places that can maybe be outside that. And I would say just the money circulation stuff too, is that, okay, they're at these 5 casinos, or really it's just maybe one conglomerate getting all of those with 5 sister casinos underneath it. I'm not exactly sure which one they were, but I'm just throwing that out there.
It heavily like mostly concentrated around, just for particulars, the Wynn, Encore, Caesars, right? Like that block, the Venetian kind of that block of casinos,
the luxury corridor, as they call it. It's but that area too is like, those, why would they want to move off of there? Like the Strip is a pain to move around, as anyone has been to Vegas. Like if you want to go from one casino to the other, it's like, oh, I'll walk. Oh, I can't walk, I'll take a taxi or an Uber. Oh shoot, that's 20 minutes to go one casino down,
and like $80.
Yeah. I mean, these are resorts. They're big. They have everything you need. They do not want you to leave. But again, that's going to lead to the money not spreading around, or it's high roller staying in high roller areas. It's not, the draft was great for casinos that, maybe go to more of the working class, I'll say, ones that are going to have 6 jerseys on, like the super fans. And so those guys are going to go and they're going to bet downtown. They're going to go to Golden Nugget. They're going to kind of go and actually spend money because they're there for the big fan experience. It feels like you said, the insular is a really good word for it. That was like, okay, maybe I'll get a little gambling, but I'm here to work. And even the fans kind of felt that way too. With just the type of F1 fan, they're into certain things that's different than a NFL crowd or a college basketball crowd or a concert going crowd. So I think it's just it's a new crowd for this thing, but as opposed to being some 50,000 person event, it's a international global weekend that's 5, 6, 7 days, and now has permanent stuff, venues being built, or it has been built, the hub of F1 America and stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, is it fair to say, I have several follow-up questions, but is it fair to say that if you polled the average Las Vegas local, they're like, I don't want to have anything to do with this. Like, we're recording this on Tuesday and you live 10 minutes away, you said, from the Strip. Are you like, I'm not, you couldn't pay me to go there in the next 4 or 5 days. Like, I'm staying by where I live now.
Yeah. That's kind of how it goes. They're staying there. It's been an annoyance. I mean, even the road construction, like there's good and bad. That is, in Vegas, things get done because if the casinos want them done, they get done, and that's it. It's a very capitalist city. It's just, this is what happens. But sometimes it's not to the locals' wants. Like, hey, everybody. So if they have to construct, again, like I talked about the boom, just even in the 6 years I've been here, just imagine the 20 or 30 year boom that's happened here in Vegas. But the Vegas Strip is a strip. It's one big strip down the road, and there's a highway next to it, the 15. And that's how a lot of people get to work. If you live in one of the suburbs, they don't call them suburbs here, but they're suburbs. Okay. But if I have to take
what do they call them?
They're a town, like Henderson.
Okay.
Yeah, Henderson is kind of its own thing, but I live in an area called Southwest, and they just haven't given it a name yet.
Okay.
So it's like, where are you from? But it's not Southwest Vegas. You just say Southwest. I know. So it's like, I know. But
there's one road in and out, basically, right?
Yeah. One in and out. But if say like, hey, we're making construction better for F1, but that's for that week of F1, but we're going to slow down and make it a big clog for everybody for months. But it's like, hey, you take it, like we're bringing in a bunch of people, and then people go, well, those people aren't giving money to us, so it's just, it builds a lot of anger especially when the first year I had a blast when I went, don't get me wrong, but maybe just some of the locals just weren't happy with how the first year went. They're like, there's just always going to be doubt about it, just because of just how it's kind of been shoved, for better or for worse.